If you saw yourself in a movie or a TV show, how would you categorize that character? Think about that. Do you think that that character is somebody that goes after their goals or not? Do you think that character is somebody that cares about themselves or not? And if you want to become someone that goes after their goals, someone that cares about themselves, someone that, i.e., values themselves, I want you to ask yourself, what would that character do if they value themselves? One of the saddest things that so many people do in life is not find their value when it's literally right there. A lot of people do not understand your value is literally hiding in plain sight, waiting for you to use it, waiting for you to find it. And while a lot of people spend their entire life trying to find their value, it is right behind them, it is right to the side of them, and they literally are keeping a narrow focus and feel like, dang, why can I not find happiness? Dang, why can I not find that thing that I do that I enjoy, that can make me money, that can make me feel like life is more purposeful? And it's literally right there. So in this video, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my journey of finding my value in life, and then also how to kind of find your value as well. So let's get into it. The first thing that you have to do is envision a future that does not exist yet. And I feel like this is so imperative because if you do not envision a future that does not exist yet, you are going to always live your life in accordance to the person that you were yesterday. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize that's why their life doesn't change. It's simply because you do not feel like you're valuable enough to change your life. And I feel like when it comes to value, it comes to something that you feel like innately is like a vision of something that I have to do to change the world, or I have to do to change my life and change my experiences. And I can give you an example of two individuals, one individual that finds themselves to be valuable and one individual that doesn't. So both of these individuals are struggling to make ends meet. They are working minimum wage jobs. The person that does not find themselves to be valuable is the person that's kind of like, okay, well, I'm just going to pick up some extra hours. I might start working, at a local grocery store on the side, or I might just start doing something on the side to help supplement my income so that I can pay these bills. The other individual is kind of just like, okay, I don't want to struggle anymore. Like, I don't want to get by ends meet. I don't want to keep penny pinching. I don't want to do little things that's going to bring me extra money. I don't just want to pick up a couple more hours. What I need to do is I need to do blank, blank, blank so I can get here. They envision a future for themselves where they're no longer struggling. They envision a future for themselves when they are having wealth, when they are making more money, if that makes any sense. And it's kind of like that doesn't exist yet, right? That's something outside of their current experience that doesn't exist yet. And they know they're going to have to do different things, i.e. to get a different life. And I feel like you don't find yourself to be valuable, in my opinion, if you feel like I'm going to keep doing what I was doing before that didn't work, but I'm just going to go harder, and that's going to create the life that I want for myself. Because I feel like when I did not truly find myself to be valuable, I did not see a life in which I can do different actions. I just thought the most I can do is what I can do now. The most that I know is what I know now. So I just have to go full throttle at this thing. Yes, I'm working a job that isn't bringing me much money, but I just got to work more hours. I just got to ask my boss, can I get that little 50 cent, raise? Like, there's this envision that you have for yourself that if you just keep hammering down on something that you know is not working for you, then you're going to get a life that you want. And I feel like those are individuals that do not have a true vision for their life. They're not truly imagining a life that doesn't exist yet. That life exists. You know what's going to happen if you only pick up a few more hours. You know what's going to happen if you get what I'm saying? You keep penny pinching and doing all this other stuff. But this other individual was like, no, I want to imagine a life that doesn't exist yet. I've never experienced having, a certain amount of wealth. I've never experienced not having to work hard day in and day out, struggling, I would say, to make ends meet. I've never experienced this thing. So let me create a life in which I don't have to experience this thing anymore. And then also going off of it, a lot of times too, people see themselves valuable when they can create a world that doesn't exist yet. One thing I think about like easily is like comedians, right? For example, Kevin Hart. If Kevin Hart was kind of like, okay, I think Eddie Murphy is the funniest comedian ever, right? He could think Eddie Murphy is so funny. Eddie Murphy came decades before him. If he thought Eddie Murphy was the epitome of comedy and there was no future in comedy without Eddie Murphy, he would not create his own comedy. He would not have become Kevin Hart because he has this mentality in which there's already value in this thing and I cannot bring value to this thing. There is no future in which this thing can get better. And that's the thing, like, you have to envision a future of things getting better. You have to envision a future of things changing based on what does not exist. Stop trying to use examples out of life. Like, all you're doing is using other people's visions. You don't understand every device that you use, anything that you see on TV was based upon somebody's vision. Before that thing came into fruition, somebody had to think about that thing and make it into something. And so you need to start having that mindset too. Like, start being imaginative. Start thinking outside of the box. Stop thinking that doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to make sense. It is your vision. A lot of times I'm noticing in life, if things make too much sense, then I probably need to think harder. I probably need to think a little bit broader and have a greater vision, because I need to create things in life that don't exist yet for my life, if I want a life, i.e., that does not exist yet. The next one is humans act, think, and perform based in accordance of what they believe to be true about themselves and their environment. And I think this one is important to understand as well, because a lot of people don't understand, like, you show yourself every single day how valuable you are. And I think a lot of people have it flipped, because I always used to think like, okay, once I start taking care of myself more and I start making more money and I start doing all these existential things, that's when I will feel more valuable, because I'm like, my skin is going to be smoother, my hair is going to be done, my bank account is going to be filled. And I've talked about this a little bit on the channel before, but there was, prior to last year, well, in the beginning of last year, I actually was a full-time content creator for 4 years on TikTok. And TikTok, short form platform, I'm gonna be honest, I really wasn't doing much. Like, I thought I was doing so much. Mind y'all, I was a full-time content creator between the ages of 20 to 24. I did not go to the gym. Honestly, I did not eat healthy. I didn't do all these things because I convinced myself I didn't have time. And now looking back at it, I used to wake up at like 10 a.m. Like, I didn't get out the bed till like 10 a.m. Now I wake up every single day at 6:30, no matter what. Even last night, for example, I went to sleep at 12 something, and I still made sure I woke up at 6:30 because I'm like, I have to shoot this content. Like, this is something imperative for me to do. I say that to say I was making a whole bunch of money. I was going on trips. I was having these experiences, and I thought I was going to do these things and it was going to make me feel more valuable. And now that I am back working a 9 to 5, now that I am, having a lot less time on my hands because I work, I shoot content, I go to the gym, I try to stay healthy and all these other things. Like, I'm realizing in this moment is when I feel the most valuable. But the difference that I notice in it is how I take care of myself. There's little things I do when it comes to my hygiene. There's little things I do when it comes to my maintenance based upon what I'm eating that before I didn't do. But you would think, right? The girl that has all the time on her hands, she making all this money, she's going on trips. She would be the girl that ate healthy. She would be the girl that went to the gym. She would be the girl that exfoliated and moisturized herself, because that's how we envision life to be based on social media, because those are the girls that do it, who have the morning routine and the 10-step this and the fall shower routine. No, I thought I was going to become that girl once I got these external things. But I realized when I had less time, when I had less money, when I had less of a lot of the things that I thought I needed to be valuable, was when I really found my value. Because now I found my value in, first and foremost, I understand myself to be a valuable individual. I changed my self-image about myself. I imagine myself to be a valuable individual. But then also I envision a future of what I can do, whether it comes to content, whether it comes to building my brand, whether it comes to experiencing things that I've never experienced before. I do understand how valuable I am. And so now I take care of myself a lot better, and I treat myself as if I am a valuable individual. And it all came from me envisioning a future that was different from the current existence or the current experiences I was having. And so I think a lot of people need to understand every single day, based on the time that you wake up, based on the time that you go to sleep, based on all these things that you do, the food that you eat, you show yourself every single day how valuable you are, based on how you feel, based on how you perform, based on everything you do, shows yourself, do I feel like I'm valuable? A lot of times people are like, I'll be more valuable if I get this, I'll be more valuable if I get that, or if I experience this or I get that. Or some people feel like I can't find my value. I don't feel valuable. And it's like, stop trying to search for it in all these different things and these external things, and literally show value to yourself. Take care of yourself. Do things for yourself. It's so, y'all, I was making, like, I don't want to dwell on it, but like, I was making a lot of money. I was making a lot of money every single month. And I convinced myself I couldn't go and get waxes. I couldn't afford it. I convinced myself I couldn't get my nails done all the time. I didn't afford it. I was making all this money. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how much accolades you get. If you have a bad self-image about yourself, if you have a non-worthy self-image about yourself, you're never going to allow yourself to really go after the life that you want. You're never going to truly take care of yourself. And I realize that I take care of myself so much more now because I changed my self-image about myself. And so I want a lot of people to ask themselves that too, like based upon the things that you do, if you took yourself out of yourself and imagine yourself as I've mentioned before, a movie character or a TV show character, right? Would you think that person cares about themselves? How would you categorize, if you saw yourself in a movie or a TV show, how would you categorize that character? Think about that. Do you think that that character is somebody that goes after their goals or not? Do you think that character is somebody that cares about themselves or not? And if you want to become someone that goes after their goals, someone that cares about themselves, someone that, i.e., values themselves, I want you to ask yourself, what would that character do if they value themselves? And go from there. The next one is a quote that I want to share with you guys, and I'm going to break it down because it is a little complex, but I think it definitely does go with your value. It says, if you don't start doing the things you need to, whether you want to or not, you will start to do the things you want to, whether you need to or not. And I think this is so imperative, and I'm going to break it down a little bit. If you don't start doing the things you need to, whether you want to or not. So if you do not start doing the things that you need to, such as waking up early in the morning, whether you want to or not, right? The things that you need to do, but you may not want to do it right now. You will start to do the things you want to, whether you need to or not. And I think this is going into when we get into this loop of like craving that dopamine loop or just craving happiness and craving enjoyment. And so there are times, the greatest example is our phone. There's so many times that you pick up your phone to do what? You check your emails for what? Like, who is emailing you? Who is texting you? Nobody DM'd you. But there's this thing of doing that. There are times where sometimes you lay in the bed and you go back to sleep and you're not necessarily tired, but you feel like, well, else is there to do? You start doing things that you want to, whether you even want to do those things or not. You don't truly want to watch TV for all those hours, but you just got yourself into the loop of not doing the things you need to do. You don't wake up, you don't go to the gym, you don't all the things you say you're going to do, eat healthy. And so your body constantly craves to do the things that it thinks it wants to do. It does a lot of times the lazy things. And I think this is so imperative when it comes to value, whether it's internal value and a little bit of external value. Internal value, feeling just like I'm so valuable enough, I'm so important that I'm going to do these things because they need to get done. And I think about this when it comes to like having children or having pets or just younger siblings. Like there are times in your life where there's certain things you do for people. You don't want to do that thing. Like you don't always want to take your kids to the doctor. You don't always want to take your dog to the vet. You don't always want to do these things, but why do you do these things? Because they need to get done, because you love and value that individual or that thing that much. And I want you to think about it too on the flip end. If you are constantly giving a child what they want all the time, whether they want it or not, candy, candy, candy. Oh, you want candy for breakfast? Oh, you want candy for lunch? Candy, all these things. What do you think is going to happen to that child? They literally are going to become spoiled rotten. They're going to become rotten. And so I think you need to think that about yourself, but then also going to the external side, I would be remiss, right, if I didn't tell you guys that value also comes from building upon things, because there is a certain level of self-value that you need to have and self-worth, but then also you get that thing from doing things that you consider to be valuable and going off of a life or a vision that you have for yourself of the world that you want to see, of a world that you want to see. A lot of time it comes with action, you doing things. And I think sometimes too, people feel like if this is something that makes me valuable, it's like a talent, right? And they're like, I should just innately be able to do that thing. I should just be able to wake up in the morning and draw good. I should just be able to speak good. I should be able to do all these other things. But one thing I've learned about myself is you can increase your value as well in doing certain things. The repetition of something, when things start becoming habits, when things start to become, growth in things. For example, I've been a yapper my entire life. That's why I literally created this channel, right? I was the child in elementary school that would talk. I never really got in trouble too much for anything else. Well, I never got in trouble at all besides talking. That's always what I got on my report card, my progress report. She talks too much, oftentimes distracts other students. Not my fault. They can't do their work and listen at the same time. I digress, okay? I am intrinsically talented at speaking. I feel like I am talented at articulating myself. But I can look at videos from last year. I even can look at some videos from like 2-3 months ago. And I'm like, dang, I was too long-winded. And probably in this video as well. Or dang, I should have said this instead of said that. I say that to say this is something that I consider myself to be valuable in, right? In the content creation space, in the speaking space, in the public speaking space. Eventually we're going to get to that. But I still have to get better at this thing, which means sometimes I have to do things that I don't want to do to, i.e., get better. I told y'all earlier in this video, I got a couple hours of sleep. Literally after this video, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I have to run to work. I literally have to run to work because I have to hurry up, wake up, get ready for this video, cook lunch, all these other things, and then I have to run to work. Would it be easier if I did not shoot this video? Yes, it would be so much easier. I can take time going to work. I probably would have time to pick me up at Celsius or something because I'm gonna be so tired. Nonetheless, I value this thing called content creation, and I value me doing the things that I don't always want to do, and sometimes those are the hard things, so I'm going to get it done. And I think too many people don't realize you need to value yourself so much that you do the things that are going to make you tired, you do the things that are going to make you sometimes annoyed and all these other things, but at the same time you perform at doing it, and also you perform at doing it at the best of your ability. Because going off of what I said before, you act, you feel, and you perform based upon accordance to how you believe to be true about yourself and your environment. I believe myself to be such a high regarded individual that even before recording this content, I make sure I had everything in line. I make sure I try to create, you know, a great space for you guys and doing as much as I can for you guys, because it's like I consider myself to be that valuable of an individual. Don't also just do things half-assed. I think a lot of people too mess themselves up with that. Oh, I'm just gonna go to the gym. I'm just gonna do this. You feel like it's a chore. Don't force yourself to do something you don't want to do. If you ain't gonna do it at top notch, if you ain't gonna do it at your best ability as well, like, don't get me wrong, you do have to sometimes do things that you don't want to do. And I'm not saying you have to do things at 100%, right? Because I do wish I got enough sleep last night. I do wish I probably was able to rehearse a little bit more. I'm not saying that, but at the same time too, you know the difference between you saying, okay, this is just what I gotta do. I gotta put my big girl pants on and get it done. And then also you just half-assing stuff and you really not even doing it to the best of your ability that you can do with what you have. Right now, I don't have that much energy. I don't have that much time, but I'm still going to do what I have to do at the best I could do it, if that makes any sense. So that's one thing I want a lot of people to ask themselves, like, do you more so in life do the things that you have to do, even though you don't want to do those things, or do you more so in life do the things that you want to do? Even a lot of times when now you think about it, you didn't have to do that thing, but it just became easy mode. Life is just on easy mode for you, and you just always do what you want to do. Another one that I think a lot of people don't see is that you don't a lot of times see your value as well if you're constantly wearing a mask. And I talked about this actually in my last video talking about self-validation, but I think you have to see when you're wearing a mask. I think taking off your mask, discovering that you're wearing a mask and taking off of your mask is one of the most imperative things you can do when you are becoming an adult, because so many people are wearing masks. So many people are living a life that they truly don't want to live. They're dressing a certain way. They might be listening to certain kind of music. They might be doing certain things that it's like, you don't truly want to do those things, but you've been doing that thing for so long that that's just become you. And so everybody knows you for that thing and knows you as being that thing that you're so afraid to change. And I think in the process of taking off your mask, it just becomes a process of you questioning why do you do certain things? And then also listening to yourself when you question why you do certain things. Like, it's easy for us to kind of like be like, I don't know if I really want to go here, but then convince ourselves that we want to go somewhere because our friends are going. It's easy for ourselves to make people feel good, right? Well, I don't want to tell this person how I really feel, but I do feel this way. Like, when you have those little small conversations with yourself, I always tell y'all, go in depth, figure out where that conversation is coming from, figure out why you feel that way. Don't just allow those things just to become very surface level. Like, go deep within those things and really figure out the mask that you are wearing. I realized in so many areas in my life, I held up a mask, and it's gonna be a longer video if I talk about that. But let's just say a lot of it comes from, you know, this idea of ourselves that we've created, right? I've created this idea of myself, and I often talk about figuring out your shadow, right? Because first, I always tell people, how would you describe yourself? Like, truly, if you have to describe yourself, how would you describe yourself? And then what is the flip side of that? So I would describe myself as being very independent. I would describe myself as being very hardworking and different things like that, right? But what is the shadow of me being very independent? The shadow is that I struggle with depending on people. The shadow is that sometimes I put myself in situations that I don't need to be in because I feel like I have to do everything by myself. Where did that come from? Why do I feel that way? When did I get that belief? The shadow of me being a hard worker is that I've encompassed this hard working mentality so much so that I realize I put myself sometimes in situations where I have to work hard. Like, there are certain situations where, going off of being too independent, I can ask for help, or I could have done something differently, or I did notice something wasn't going the way way that I wanted it to. But I think subconsciously, this happens to, I think, a lot of people. We don't want life to be easy. Like, don't get me wrong. Let me not say easy. We don't want life to be calm. We want a bit of chaos. Like, that's what I had my entire life. I'm so encompassed and so used to chaos in my entire life that, like, I don't know how to live a life without chaos. I don't know how to live a life being like, okay, I work a job, I make a certain amount of money, I'm not struggling, I don't gotta look at my bank account. Like, that happened for so long for me. Even when I was a full-time content creator and I was making money and I was doing all this other stuff, I still convinced myself that I wasn't making enough money. I was making 2 to 3 times a month what I'm making now. I was like, what I make now in a week, I was making in a day sometimes. And I still convinced myself I didn't have enough. But it's because there was something deep rooted in me that did not value myself. There was something deep rooted in me that always felt like I had to work harder and I had to struggle. And I found a beauty in the struggle. I felt like if I didn't struggle, then that means life was too easy for me and I didn't deserve it. And there's so many things, but I had to take off that mask and realize it was a mask. And I think a lot of people don't find themselves to be valuable because it's like you don't see yourself. You don't truly understand what is the shadow. Like, those things that you are so proud to tell people about and those things that you are so proud to say is part of your personality, but what is the flip side? Everything has a shadow behind it. What is the flip side of that thing? And it's not saying to completely erase that thing, because I don't think I can erase it, right? A lot of that comes from my childhood experiences and all these other things, but what I can do is realize it's a shadow. What I can do is realize it's always going to be there. I can realize it is a mask. I can take off the mask. I can work with that thing. And also I can realize when I'm wearing my mask. There are times in life where I'd be like, Shamaya, don't say that. Because I'm just trying to wear a mask. I'm telling somebody, oh, I don't need help. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I know this. No, and I don't. And I have to realize, hey, you're wearing that mask right now. Take that mask off. But it's because I have to find Shamaya valuable. I realized I found the mask valuable. I found feeling like I was so independent and courageous. I found that version valuable. And it's like the person behind it needed help. The person behind it was struggling mentally. The person behind it wanted all these different things, love and caring. But the person on the exterior acted like she didn't care. And I had to realize you're valuable on the interior. You can take the shell off. You can take the mask off. And you can be vulnerable, but you have to figure out that you are valuable enough to feel that way and that you still have value in this world, even when you're vulnerable, even when you might be wrong, even when you might be, the oddball out. Like, you're still valuable. But I had to realize that for myself. And one of the final things I would say with value is that it honestly makes life, this sounds so crazy, but worth living. I think I struggle with, and I don't want to call it depression, but I struggle with just, one of the symptoms of depression is waking up feeling like there isn't going to be a better future. Waking up feeling like, what's the point? And I struggled with that for a very long time, very secretly. No one knew about it. But a lot of it was because I didn't see value in life, and going off of life, I didn't see a value in the future. Like, I didn't see a future where I was happier. I didn't see a future that, i.e., didn't exist. Like, I thought I felt bad today. I felt sad today. So this must just be what my life is. And I had to realize that I have to create a vision. Like, the vision is the only, like, I don't want to say the only, but the vision is what keeps me going. I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. It's really what keeps me going. A vision for a world that doesn't exist yet. The vision for possibilities and experiences and things that don't exist yet. But then at the same time, with your self-image and with these visions, I think there is a certain level of you just being like, okay, there's necessary steps to go into it. I think a lot of times people create these vision boards and they create these things and they say these things. And it's like, you're just saying that because it sounds good. Like, what are the steps that go into this thing? And it is not saying, oh my gosh, you have to start today and you have to hit the ground running. But at the same time too, like, I also envision myself in the future doing some of these things. And I actually ask myself on a day-to-day basis, what am I doing today to get me closer to my vision? Like, did I do anything today to get me close to my vision? A lot of people can't even ask themselves that question because they don't have a vision for the future. You never ask yourself, what today did I do to get me closer to the tomorrow that I want? Even if it's sometimes, and for some people, you can't see a vision that's 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead. Okay, that's okay. Can you see a vision for next week? Can you see a vision for next month? And then also understand it's going to be hard in the beginning. In the beginning, you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, what is this? Like, it's one, and a practice, maybe I should talk about practices as well really quickly. A practice I do is try to, like, for 10 minutes, especially at night, close your eyes and just imagine. And this is really hard in the beginning. I would say it takes about 2 weeks or so to really get into it, but just imagine, like, yourself doing something differently. Sometimes that's all it starts with. Like, a lot of times too, people say your vision is to be making $1 million and on a yacht. Just imagine a different life. But then also going off of, sometimes think about in life things that you don't enjoy, things you don't like. Like I think sometimes too, we feel like we just have to deal with certain things. And I mentioned this before, but after watching the show Shark Tank, if you guys aren't familiar with that show, is where entrepreneurs go on to get money for their businesses. So many great businesses started out of individuals saying, I want to fix this thing. I want to change this thing. There's so many things you complain about every single day that you want to change, that you want to fix. And it's like, that's where your vision starts. Like, what in the world do you want to see differently? Even for me, part of my vision is based upon the childhood that I had. I don't want certain people to experience certain things that I experienced. And I know that if I can get my message across and get my brand across and do certain things that I need to do, I can create a world that does not exist. And even certain things that I see going on, and don't even get me started, in the world, I'm kind of just like, I see where certain things are heading, and it's like, I don't want that world to exist. So there's certain things that I need to do to make sure that that world doesn't exist. And I don't know, I think finding your value is just feeling like I deserve to be here. Like it's an innate thing, and it's very similar to like children, right? Like children have this thing of feeling like, oh my God, like a child is mad when they're not picked to be on the kickball team. A child doesn't think, oh, the other child they picked was bigger than you. They're probably stronger than you. They probably be a better component. A child is like, why would you not pick me? I know I'm only 4'1" and 87 pounds, and that other kid is 5'10" and 150 pounds. Why would you not pick me? Like, treat yourself like that. I'm really being on that type of time with myself. Like, why would you not pick Chamia? Chamia, why you not picking Chamia? Chamia, why you letting people wake up and go after their dreams? Chamia, why you letting people go after the life that they want for themselves and you don't feel like you worthy enough? I'm not worthy enough. I'm not valuable enough. I can't feel like that. I don't know. And I realize the people who you see in life doing things are just people who consider themselves to be valuable. That's the only difference. So many people have visions, have dreams, and they don't even understand. The only difference between you and the people that's actually doing it is they consider themselves to be valuable and you don't. So I want you to start thinking about that. Like, stop thinking people are, like, it's not even a comparison game. I don't compare nobody to myself, honestly and truly, because I just feel like I'm me. Like it comes over time. It is one of those things that I've realized over time. It's one of those things I realized with pouring into myself, but like, I'm ChamiaTiarra. Like, there's never gonna be another me, but you have to feel that way about yourself. And you have to understand you are valuable, not because you watched the video, not because you're just listening to what I'm saying. You're valuable because you're going to be the one to do this stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. I love that my videos motivate y'all. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to wake up for y'all. I'm not going to eat healthy for y'all. Y'all have to do these things. So understand, yes, you can use videos like this for direction and motivation, but you're the one that's going to do it. So you're the valuable one. Not me, not nobody else. I don't care if I get so much information from books, from podcasts, from all these other things. And though those are valuable people telling me stuff, but once I implement these things, I'm a valuable person too. Like, I'm the one that's actually doing these things. But I don't know. I just wanted to create this video for you guys. Let me wrap it up real quick because you know I gotta run to work. But I love you guys so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I've been talking a lot lately about like self-worth, self-value, all these other things. So sorry if it feels a bit redundant, but I've just been really in this like vibe of life of really feeling like I deserve these things. I deserve this life. And I don't know, it's just been a journey that I've been on, so I wanted to share it. But thank y'all and have a great one.